Welcome to Orbiting Punk. This week I spoke with Brat, a death metal band from my home city of New Orleans. They just went on their first tour promoting their latest EP, Grime Boss. In the interview, we talk about the band's unique Britney meets punk aesthetic, their first year wins as a band, and 2000's nostalgia. Apologies if the audio gets a little rough. I recorded this on the phone as I'm working out the best way to host this podcast. And I'm always looking for feedback, so I'd love to hear your thoughts via email at orbitingpunk@gmail.com. Here's a snippet from their latest music video, Grime Boss. Go check it out on YouTube and enjoy the show.
Is now being recorded.
All right.
Official.
Yeah, right. So weird. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate that, especially, right before y'all are leaving on your tour and everything.
For having us.
Yeah, and I really I wanted to say that I really respect what you guys are doing and everything, and that I've been following you guys since you first started, at least since your first show at Creepy Fest. I wasn't able to go to Creepy Fest because I actually got sick. But
COVID?
Yeah, I think I caught COVID. I wasn't sure what I had. I never was able to get tested, but I wasn't able to go to the festival because of it. So, and it seems like a lot of people got sick during that festival anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Right, a lot of people got it at Creepy Fest.
I got it.
Yeah.
Crazy. So what I wanted to do real fast is just have you guys introduce yourselves, individually, so people know who they're hearing.
All right. I'm Elizabeth. The only female voice, so pretty easy to pick apart. But and I'm the vocalist.
I'm Dustin. I'm the drummer of Brat. I'm Hennessy and I play bass.
I'm Brenner. I play guitar.
Awesome. Cool. So, hopefully that'll work.
Hope so.
I think you all have pretty distinct voices. So, I mean,
Well enough.
But, so one of the things that really stood out to me about y'all from the get-go was just how unique your aesthetic as a band is. And it's I think you guys described it as Bolt Thrower meets Britney, right, on your Instagram.
Yeah, we sold someone else, actually. Someone put that on an event page of ours, and we were like, this is great.
Yeah, we gotta
I don't know who coined that, but we can't claim it.
That's brilliant.
It's really good.
Great.
So how did the band and that style come about?
So really all the music kind of came together over the course of a couple of years, and then we were trying to think of a name that entire time. And once we thought of the name, everything else just kind of followed. So it was really just kind of a natural progression. It wasn't a plan, this is what we're going to do. It just sort of happened that way with the name.
Yeah, we've thought about a name for a long time, and then I think once we landed on Brat, we just kind of were like, well, the whole bratty aesthetic kind of just came with it.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because it's you guys, obviously it's juxtaposed to this really heavy, hardcore music. But it's also kind of feminine, which is, something you don't typically see in death metal.
Right.
And so I think it's interesting because it's you guys have so much merch that's also very I guess feminine, or I don't know. It's Paris Hilton, Betty White, Mean Girls, stuff like that. was that something you guys like had in mind when you started working on like your first EP? Of like,
I don't know at all. I think that was something that I don't think we've ever even really like discussed as a band. It just kind of happened.
Just an evolution.
Yeah, we just started like going down that rabbit hole, I guess. But I don't think we were ever like, oh, we're gonna make our band like girly or anything like that.
yeah.
It just made sense, I think.
Yeah, it just fit.
Once it started to come together, and we demoed out all the songs before recording, and the wheels started turning, and we're like, yeah, we can do this and this and this and this, and once the merch came about and like we started playing the shows, it just kind of all clicked into place.
Yeah, one of the things early on that we knew we wanted to use pop samples, so I think that also kind of just helped develop the aesthetic.
Yeah, like, I remember hearing that at the show, like, even between songs, you guys have all those different pop samples from different artists. It's sort of, it's interesting because it's like, it's not what you'd expect at a typical like metal show, you know? It's like, I think there's like a certain browiness to a lot of metal scenes, at least from what I've seen. And I think that's sort of cool about your band. That it sort of subverts that a little bit. But I guess like what's funny to me is like it seems like it's done almost like a joke, you know? And maybe that's because it's like an evolution or like an afterthought almost.
Yeah, I don't think we take it super seriously or anything, but
it's like one of those things, like almost satirical.
Yeah. But
then like you see our show and it's like legit.
Right. It's like a half a joke, half not.
Yeah. And so, you guys all knew each other from before you started Brat, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
I knew, obviously, Brenner, my boyfriend, and Ian, but I hadn't met Dustin until we started the band. And same with Ian.
I was kind of new to town, and I had known Brenner from a while ago, and I randomly hit him up on Instagram and was like, yo, I live in New Orleans now, so if you need a drummer for something heavy, hit me up.
That's awesome. And you drum for Ivory Sons, right?
I do. What are you, a cop? Just kidding. Yeah, I do. I had been in that project I still am. We're still active, somehow through the pandemic. That project's been going on for like 12 years now, and I started playing metal first, though, in a band called Argument Semantics. That was more like techie, progressive type stuff, and so that's how I kind of got started playing live music, and then put that down, and then Ivory Sons, and then now finally moved to New Orleans to pursue music, and then Brat was just kind of like sprung up.
Yeah. And so you like hit up Brenner, and then that's how you kind of got into the band?
Yeah. He sent me, actually I hit him up, and then a couple weeks had gone by, and then I bought a drum machine from him because Ivory Sons was kind of dormant at the moment because half of us lived in another city, so it was hard to get together for that. And so I was like, I need some kind of project. And so I was going to start doing like live techno on like a drum machine in a sequencer sense. And one of my homies told me that Brenner had one, and I was like, yo, could I try it out? And he was like, yeah, if you're interested, you can buy it too. So I bought it. And then I pretty much haven't done anything with it because we started Brat.
That's awesome, though. And so that's so interesting. So, Brenner, you're in a bunch of different bands too, right?
Yeah, I play in Missing, which is like a post-punk band, and also play in Cicada, along with Hennessy. He plays drums, I play bass in Cicada.
That's cool. So and Ian, are you in Missing too, or is that
So.
Ian's an 85 fan, so.
What are some of the bands you're in?
Can't say them on air.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe Pussy Riot. I don't know if I can say that. But,
Oh, yeah.
and then we have a new band, Can Do It, Putrescence. It's like death metal. And Cicada as well. So along with that, yeah.
That's sort of cool. It seems like Brenner. It seems like you were the person that sort of like knew everybody.
Yeah, brought the gang together.
At least a little bit, anyway. That's interesting. So, I was reading like some of your like articles that were written about you and like interviews, and Elizabeth, I saw that you discovered you could do lows through karaoke. Is that true? So how did that happen?
So it was Brenner's birthday. It was right before the pandemic, like a few weeks maybe, and we were doing like karaoke at our old house with just like some friends, and me and a friend of mine were doing an A Day to Remember song, and I was trying to do the low parts, and I was like, this actually came out okay.
You weren't trying, you were doing it.
I was. Yeah, I did the low parts, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I'm kind of okay at that.
Yeah, everyone was like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, and so we were like, let's start a band, and then we started writing.
And y'all started in 2020, right?
Well, I started writing the music maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, like during Mardi Gras of 2020, and then the pandemic happened, and then over the course of the next year, just kind of wrote pretty much all the songs in like my little basement in a dungeon, just kind of socked away for a year, and then we got the lineup together.
That's awesome. So do you write? Do you write like as far as like the songs? Do you write each of the parts, or like how does that work?
So the way I kind of started it was I just kept a little practice amp next to my bed with my guitar, and I would just, whenever I had a riff in my head, or I would just sit down to play, I would come up with these like 30 or 45 second or minute long riffs, and I would just record each of them on a voice memo on my phone, and then whenever I wanted to write a song, I would kind of just go pull from the bank of all these riffs and see which ones kind of fit together. And I have a drum machine and everything, and a little like iPad recording interface, so I'd write the drum parts and then put the guitar and the bass over them. And we're writing new stuff that has Dustin writing drums, so it's not all just me. But yeah, that's kind of the process of how the music came together.
That's cool. I'm sure there's probably like a little bit of adaptation that probably has to happen though, right? From like.
Oh yeah. Not everything is like exactly the same as whenever I wrote it on the drum machine. Like Dustin's definitely come along and like made a lot of the parts better because he's an actual drummer. So.
That's awesome. And so like the lyrics, do you write those as well?
Most of them, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, sorry, I'm losing. So, I saw that you guys work with, I'm forgetting his name now. Sorry. Witten from, Thou.
James Witten?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you guys, like, start working with him to, like, record your music?
Well, I feel like we've always kind of been in each other's periphery. I mean, he recorded Cicada. He's, recorded a bunch of our friends' music and stuff like that. So we've always just kind of been in the same circles, I guess. And, he is really well experienced with the kind of music that we do with, New Orleans musicians. So it just seemed like a natural fit.
That's awesome. Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting how, it seems like Thou, I Hate God pairs, like those are all like the big
metal hardcore bands, at least from my perspective in New Orleans, that have like broken out of the scene. So it's cool to like work with somebody like that.
Oh yeah, he's super easy to work with too.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Really, probably one of the most positive recording experiences I've had for drums. Drums was always the worst, but it was super easy to work with him.
Yeah, it seems like y'all have had just like an insane year. I mean, I guess it's been 2 years now, but it's like, you had started writing in 2020 before the pandemic started, and then, pandemic hits, and then Creepy Fest, I guess, was last year, and that was your first show, right?
Yeah, we kind of kept it like under wraps the entire time we were writing. We didn't announce that we were actually a band until about a month before our first show.
That's cool. So like, I saw videos of like how the Creepy Fest thing went, and like obviously like some of the pictures on like y'all's Instagram and stuff. But how was that? Like, how was that like first show back experience from COVID?
I mean, it was sick. It was definitely the best first show we could have asked for, and shout out to Bill Hines for having us on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. It was the only thing that was like a little weird was playing Parasite in the daylight, but other than that, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like the middle of summer, right?
It was hot.
Yeah, it was definitely toasty. But yeah, it's like jarring to be at Parasite in the daylight. But
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it was a great show.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. I saw a guy got like destroyed in one video. Just like got
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was Scary Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Bless his heart.
Were y'all the first people to play it at Parasite that day?
Yes.
Yeah, we were number one at 7 o'clock.
Which, that being said, like the crowd that we had there, like so early in the night, people were definitely like excited to see Brat. Like they came out just for us, which was very welcoming and big confidence boost for sure.
Yeah, it was really nice because I was kind of worried. I was like, oh, 7 o'clock. I don't know if anyone will be there.
Weird, but
yeah, people came out.
Everybody came out and got real sweaty and bought up all of our merch.
Yeah, we sold pretty much all of our shirts that first show, or almost all of them. It was really, really cool.
And that happened again this week, right, with your Paris Hilton stuff?
Yeah, we were. So I guess that's a mistake on our part, but we figured to sell sort of like our current shirts have been selling, which is pretty decent, like like half a dozen to a dozen shirts every show or whatever. But like these, we at the kickoff show the other night, we got rid of all the smalls within the first 30 minutes of doors being opened. Like no one had even played yet. And we're like, oh shit, these are supposed to last us the whole tour. And like we didn't get like a ton of shirts. We got 60 shirts, but that's I feel like that's a normal amount to take on the road for like a short tour like this. And we ended up getting rid of everything like XL and below that first show. So now we're just doing pre-orders for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like a great problem to have.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're not that mad about it.
And you guys have done like little runs in the past, right?
No, this is I mean, we've done like a couple one-offs. We played Pensacola like the night before Halloween, I think it was. We did Meet 'em to the Monster Fest in Little Rock, Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it for one-off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw at that Arkansas. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. What were you gonna say?
I said I saw a video. I think it was from the Arkansas show of it looked like Dominic. I'm forgetting his last name, but you know, yeah, the trash can. Dude throwing around a trash can during the set.
We got fussed for that.
Yeah.
Nowhere else knows what to do with trash cans.
Right. That's a NOLA thing.
Yeah, it's a New Orleans signature for sure. Throwing trash cans at shows. So
I definitely want to get a Brat can and like get a pink trash can and have the Brat logo on it, and that'd be like the designated mosh trash can.
You should like strap it to the top of the van on the way there to the.
Yeah. Sick.
I mean, that would be a fun way to do it. Like some places, you know, they have like beach balloons or whatever. Y'all just bring a trash can.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Take a little piece of home.
Trash.
Figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
Just like one bottle from every show. Or whatever. It's also been like cool to see all the different bands you guys have played with. Like the NASCAR Aloe rapper guy, you guys play with him, and then Angel Dust. What was it like kind of getting on those bills?
It was interesting. I mean, yeah, they're not, you know, like Angel Dust was, I think we were the heaviest band on that bill, which it was still a great show, but I don't know how receptive everyone was to us. But and then NASCAR Aloe, that was a lot of fun.
That was really hype.
It was very hype, but I feel like SoundCloud rap shows are always very hype.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
Yeah.
I think that also goes back to like the whole aesthetic thing and like I don't want to say our gimmick, but like our what the band is.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a shtick,
you know. A shtick. We can call
and so like that whole little microcosm of Brat, like it lends itself to like different genres and kind of like a bigger appeal than more like niche, just death metal. You know, like it kind of opens us up to doing stuff like that, and it's been really rewarding. We played another show similar to that in Florida. It was a real good time. So
yeah, it's fun to play mixed bills.
Yeah, I feel like you guys really, like you said, you can like slip into a lot of those things. It's interesting because it's like, you know, you got the death metal sound and like the thrashy sound too. Like you guys mix different styles too. Like New Orleans has such a weird metal scene. Like there's so much like grindcore type stuff here.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel like you guys carry that on a little bit in some ways. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, what is like the New Orleans sound in hardcore?
I think, well, for me personally, I'm from Dallas originally, and like I feel like New Orleans, there's a lot of like crossover, I guess, between like different genres within metal, where there maybe isn't in other cities that are bigger, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah, I feel like New Orleans, I guess traditionally you think of like sludge metal or stuff like that, but I feel like there's a pretty good like representation of different styles here, which is cool. And yeah, we try to pull from several different styles.
Yeah, it's such a small city that it's not like there's enough bands to where you can have like a specific scene pertaining to a specific subgenre of metal. Like you're not going to have like enough black metal bands that you can just have a show full of black metal bands and it's like all the people for that. And like you're not going to have shows where it's like just grindcore or whatever. Like there's so few bands that like you kind of have to like everything, you know?
Yeah, and I mean like that kind of goes with the whole way your band came together too. It's like everybody plays in different bands. It's sort of
Right.
incestuous, I guess, that way. Everybody's playing together.
Right.
But it's cool because I feel like it mixes styles that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, I've never really been to too many other metal scenes. And, I mean, Little Rock was popping.
Yeah.
Little Rock has a good mix.
Mhm.
But as you know, as time goes on, like styles change and things become more prevalent, and
Mhm.
maybe somebody does a new version of something that's kind of been done, and that's like its own thing now, you know. And we've been definitely very fortunate and lucky to be so welcomed by everybody in New Orleans. It's been sick.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, it seems like the scene here is also like you said, it's like a small scene and that sort of thing, but it seems like it's not too, I don't know, like snobby or like, you know,
Right.
people are welcoming.
Right. Yeah, definitely. When I moved here, I was like, everybody's so nice. Like, you don't always get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's really refreshing because, like, you know, as like an outsider, like I moved here in 2020. It can be a bit intimidating trying to get into a new scene again. But it seems like everybody I've talked to here, it's very cool. Very genuine people.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know if it's the whole Southern hospitality thing. I don't know how much I buy into all that. I grew up in the South, so maybe I just don't know what it's really like outside the South.
Where are you from?
I grew up in Florida, and I went to school in Georgia, and now I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know. I wanted to talk a little bit about your new EP, you know, Grime Boss. Specifically that song. I mean, I think it's a great song, and you did the music video for it. How did like the idea for that video come about?
You know, honestly, I can't really recall exactly where it came from. I just kind of had the idea of like a talent show or something like that. Because like part of the aesthetic for the band is like this sort of like 90s.
Sorry.
You're good.
Okay, we're good now.
It's sort of like 90s, early 2000s, like nostalgia. Because like all the pop samples we used are songs from like that era and stuff like that. And, you know, that's sort of where like the Mean Girls and the Paris Hilton like t-shirts ideas came from. And it was just kind of trying to think of something that sort of fit into that. And it was like, oh, like a high school talent show. Like in what scenario, like reaching back to that sort of vibe would a band playing fit in? And I guess talent show is just one of the first things that came to mind.
That's cool. Where did you guys film that, if you don't mind sharing?
We actually filmed it at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation Center.
Okay. Is that's not the Jazz Museum, right?
No, it's like kind of by Rampart and Esplanade.
Okay, yeah.
So our dear friend Nathan Tucker, he plays in Mahonet, amazing videographer. He had a hookup over there. He's worked with them before, and they're trying to sort of get it out into the community that they want to work with other musicians besides just, you know, like jazz music, and just want to work with different genres in the community at large. So they were able to let us use the space, and that's where we did it.
That's cool. And so, you know, Grime Boss, like, what I really like about that song is, like, lyrically, it's so, like, it's so, like, depressing and, like, nihilistic, I guess. How do you go about writing, like, the lyrics for a song like that?
So people always ask me stuff like that, and I'm like, I was in another band before called Out of Reach, and I wrote a lot of lyrics for that too. Not all of them, but I guess it's just sort of what comes naturally to me. Like, I'm not a particularly pessimistic person by any means, but whenever I sit down to write lyrics, it always just comes out extremely dark and depressing, and and stuff like that. But honestly, I have no basis for it. That's just kind of what comes out.
That's cool. Yeah, I really like the lyrics to Chain Pain too. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what that song's directed towards, but it feels very punk in the sense that it feels like it's like, you know, fuck the rich type stuff.
Yeah, I guess I really thought about it that way, but
Yeah. Open to interpretation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
There's plenty of bands out there that, you know, write their lyrics based more on feel and sound rather than meaning. You know, like the Mars Volta, for instance, they have the most like cryptic and like poetically written lyrics, but they've literally come out and said like, oh, they don't mean anything, they just sound cool.
Yeah, and that's like such like a almost. I guess that happens a lot in like different kinds of genres, but like in grindcore or like genres like that specifically, it just seems like, you know, it's like you have short snippet little songs, you just sort of. I guess it's sort of like the tongue-in-cheek part of it.
Yeah,
just having fun with it.
right.
That's another thing that sort of draws me to y'all as a band. Is it just seems like you guys have like. It seems like you guys just genuinely have fun. Like this is just something you do for fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like not saying like you guys don't want to be like a big band or something like that, but it's just like, I don't know. Do you guys think you take this super seriously, or is this just something you like to do?
I mean, we're willing to, you know, take it as far as it'll go, but kind of how we were saying earlier, like it's. Like, at least with, like, the aesthetic and stuff, it's, like, half a joke, half not. Because, like, the music is written seriously, and it's not, we're not taking it seriously whenever the music is written. But as far as, like, the aesthetic and the samples and stuff like that, like, you know, so, like you said, want to have fun with it. Like, there's just so many goddamn bands out there, and, like, you need to do something to kind of separate yourself, because otherwise, like, even if you have, like, really sick riffs, and, like, the music is perfect and, like, 100% well written, like, you kind of just fall into the ranks of all the other bands that are super sick. And, you know, it isn't quite as easy to designate and differentiate between these different bands. So it is serious, but at the same time, you know, we have fun with it.
Yeah, and I think you guys are, like, really talented and that sort of thing, too. Like,
Thank you.
It's not just, you know, it's not just, not trying to blow smoke up your ass or anything like that, but it's just, you know.
No, please post those for us. Yeah.
Please go.
But I forgot to mention this when I brought up your merch, but Paris Hilton commented on that shirt.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird.
Yeah, I got that notification the other night.
Crowning achievement.
Yeah, I didn't think it was real at first. Like, I thought it was, like, one of those, like, Instagram notifications that, like, oh, you might be interested in this Paris Hilton post. And it's like, no, she commented on it. I was like, what the hell?
I wonder if it was, like, actually Paris Hilton, or if there's, like, I don't know if Paris Hilton actually does her own social media, you know?
Yeah, same thing.
It's like, do you really love this, or is this just like
Right.
how you respond to mentions?
This is, you know, just hearsay, but a friend of ours the other day was like, yeah, she does her own social media and everything too. We need to look that up.
We haven't fact checked it.
Haven't fact checked that, but I was like, oh, I mean, if that's the case,
cool.
it's pretty sick.
Right.
It is pretty cool. Like, I mean, I guess it's like, I don't know the whole situation really with the whole like stop being poor. I wasn't around so much for that.
Funny you should ask.
Who knows?
I actually saw a while back Paris Hilton made a TikTok about it, and that whole shirt is fake. She was just wearing a white tank top to begin with, and someone shopped Stop Being Poor onto it. So that was already like a shop to begin with, and then we just shopped over the original of the other shop. So yeah, so that whole thing was fake to begin with.
Okay. So it wasn't just like she decided to wear that shirt one day.
Right, yeah, no. She never actually wore that.
That makes sense. Yeah. I wonder why. I feel like that's such a, again, it's just like one of those like 2000s pop culture moments that, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't around for that so much.
Yeah. Probably at the time, too, I don't know exactly when that was, but I'm sure social media wasn't as, like, prevalent or anything to fact-check those kinds of things. So.
Like one of those things, you know, like, chilling.
Right.
Yeah, just, I don't know, spread through MySpace or something.
Yeah.
Whatever people were using back then. So why do you guys try to go with like that particular era of nostalgia?
I don't know. It just seems like something that is.
Maybe it's a bad question.
No, it's good. It's like I hate to use the word, but I feel like it's just really relatable for everyone kind of in our age
what we
group.
grew up with.
Right. Yeah. Like it's just a common thing that everyone our age shares. Just all the
and
Right.
you know the
A simpler time.
Yeah, you know, I was saying earlier that I'm not really like a pessimistic person, but you know, to be realistic, the world kind of sucks these days, and we all, you know, think about when we were kids and like the pop culture and stuff that we were growing up with, and we're like, man, that was like better times.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of that stuff is also kind of having a moment right now with the whole when we were young and everything.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. It's definitely a theme that is just really prevalent right now in general, not just with what we were doing, you know, like you said, when we were young fest and stuff like that.
Cool. What would be like, I don't know, what would be like Brat's bill for when we were young?
Oh, man.
What? Perhaps what?
Our bill.
Oh, okay.
It could be like, maybe like the people that influences you or like the bands you guys would want to see as your nostalgic bands. I don't know. Or who would be on your, if you were on the bill?
Wait, seven.
Yeah, probably just horror bands from like high school. And, yeah.
There used to be a venue.
Yeah. Sick.
There used to be a venue in Metairie called the High Ground that I do with my teams quite often. And so, like, any of the hardcore bands that were playing there in, like, 05 to 09.
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot about the High Ground, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear a lot about the High Ground talking to people. I'm like, that sounds so cool. I wish that there was another all ages thing still around like that.
Yeah, it's really a shame. I mean, I guess Parasite is pretty much like the only like real all ages thing we have, and that's like only like halfway of a venue.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a place.
Yeah.
Cool spot.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
It is.
Yeah, it is super cool, and it's like, you know, there's fewer things more punk than playing under a freeway in a skate park.
Yeah. There's always a burning car too. Classic.
It's that picture of Hollis Murphy with a burning car behind him. I've always wondered where that was.
Yeah, that's Parasite.
Mhm.
That was at Parasite?
Oh, you bet.
That was probably the craziest show I've ever played in my whole life.
What show was that?
Huh?
Which show?
What's your
You know what?
FL, Tony Montana. I think Slave Labor played. Just a bunch of grindcore bands that like flew in and played shows.
Yeah.
Like lighting cars on fire. People went to the hospital.
He went to the hospital?
Yeah,
For what?
He broke his leg
wow.
in the pit.
Dang.
People were shooting fireworks.
I love the fireworks.
The videos on YouTube, it's the craziest. I thought we were all going to jail for sure. I think about that show a lot. But the cops never showed up. So.
Yeah. So I guess for when we were young, it would have to be at some sort of. I guess it could be at Parasite. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just have to have a burning car and a few hospitalizations.
We called when we were Brat.
We were Brat. Yeah, I love that. Well, so you guys are going on this tour. This is like your first like multi-city run, right?
Yep, sure is.
So how are you guys feeling about that? What's the plan?
So yeah, we're all super stoked. We're excited to play mostly new places. Return to Little Rock, which we love. We're actually playing Little Rock on my birthday. That'll be cool. Play Houston tomorrow at White Swan, which is a venue that really like. Saw Mammoth Grinder there a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like very few bands get the opportunity to be able to do something like this or figure out how to do this, and I think it's super cool that you guys are, pulling that off. So respect.